Why am I homeschooling anyway? Do I want to homeschool? Is this the right decision? Have I made a mistake? Hey everybody, it's Becky. Welcome back to my channel. I have a homeschooling video for you guys today that I feel like if you homeschool, pretty much every single one of you have dealt with this at some point. And it is dealing with homeschool burnout and what do you do when you just want to quit. So I have some tips and suggestions of some things you can do to either avoid homeschool burnout altogether, or what to do if you've already kind of experienced it or you are experiencing it and you really need some kind of a shift in your mentality and you need a break. I think you'll find some good tips and suggestions in this video for homeschool burnout. And the first thing, and probably the easiest thing to do when you feel stressed out and burned out with homeschooling, is to get out of the house. If you're staying home all day long and you're doing homeschooling and then you are cleaning and you're doing laundry and you're cooking dinner and you're cooking lunch and you're cleaning up those messes and you're chasing kids, and if you're doing all that and you're not leaving the house, that's probably going to set you up for really a lot of stress and overwhelm and frustration. I know it does for me. I personally need to get out of the house every day if possible, and I do. Pretty much every day we go out for lunch, just me and the girls. My husband will be at work, and that is like my favorite part of the day. I love getting that little break where we get out of the house, we see other people, we eat lunch together, and of course we would eat lunch together at home, but I just like being out because I feel like some of our best conversations we have are on the way to lunch, at lunch, and on the way home. And I know later on down the road when the girls are grown up and in college or moved out, I'm gonna look back on these days as the best days of my life because I already feel like that right now. Like, I am so thankful and so appreciative and so blessed to be able to stay home with them. And I really am reminded of that at lunch when we go out. Not that I'm not reminded of it at home, but like just the fun that we have and the conversations that we have and the laughs and the funny things that happen when we're out just are so amazing. My girls are my best friends, and I know people say, well, you shouldn't be best friends with your kids, but I don't want it any other way. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I love spending time with them, and it's just getting out of the house really is a nice break for me. I think it's a good break for them, and then we come back home, they finish their independent work, I work out, fix dinner, and then we have the rest of the night together. So that to me is important. So whether you're going out to Panera every day like we do, you go out to a restaurant, you go out on a picnic, you go to the park, whatever it is that you want to do, but get out of the house, get away from the house. Stop looking at the laundry and the pile of dishes in the sink and get out of the house. The second thing that really is helpful is educational TV. Now, I know people say, well, don't watch TV because it turns your brain into pudding, but there are so many educational shows and movies and even apps. There's so many educational apps you can get within moderation, to give you a break from teaching, give you a break from having to talk about history or math or science all the time, and let them watch an educational show. It's okay. Now, do you want to do that all day long, every day? No, probably not. But it's okay to set aside 30 minutes of time and say, okay, it's your time to watch The Magic School Bus. Or if you have an older kid, it's your turn to watch this documentary about D-Day, or whatever it is. Don't be afraid of educational TV and apps and games in moderation within your homeschool day to give you a little bit of a break. Also, don't forget field trips, and don't forget to count them as a school day. You see kids at Disney World on a school trip. You see kids at the zoo, at the library even. I've seen kids at the post office. Like, take field trips. Make sure you make that like a conscious effort to schedule field trips that are educational, that you can count for school and give you a day off of teaching. It really, really does help. And you'd be surprised at how much one day off during the week of not teaching is really going to help you. And of course, you can go back home the next day and say, okay, now we're going to talk about whatever that we saw yesterday. We're going to do a report about manatees or how the post office works, whatever. You can make it as in-depth as you want, but getting that full day of school off for you really, really does have its benefits. And also, don't forget that volunteering can be educational, especially when you have older kids who are in high school. It's going to look good on their transcript and their resumes if they have done volunteer work. Let them help out at church. Let them lead a life study at their church, or volunteer at God's Pantry. Some type of work they can get involved and learn responsibility and learn working together with a team. Those are educational skills that they need for life and for future employment. So even though maybe it's not sitting down and reading a book about something, they are learning through the experience of volunteering. So definitely don't overlook volunteering. Another great way to kind of break up the monotony and burnout potential of homeschooling is to find homeschool groups and co-ops in your area that you guys can participate in. We've done both. We've done years with a co-op. We've done years with no co-op. Right now we are doing our second year of a co-op. We did one a couple years ago. We took a break. And then we did one last school year, and we're doing one this school year. And mainly the reason for that is it gives me a couple hours, one day a week, that I can work on things. I can edit YouTube videos, I can plan for school, I can balance the checkbook, I can do what I need to do in the middle of the day without being interrupted. How amazing is that? To be able to have 3 or 4 hours in the daytime, not at night when everyone's asleep and I'm furiously working at night, in the daytime to get stuff done. So I get stuff done, they get to go to co-op and hang out with their friends, they get to learn from somebody else that's not me, and they really get that experience of a public school environment. I mean, obviously most of the time co-op classes are a lot smaller, so it's not going to feel exactly like a public school classroom, but you know, they have the good things and the bad things that come with public school. That happens in co-ops. You've got kids that are kind of bratty and annoying. You've always got that kid in the class that's causing problems, but then you've got friendships that they're making. They're making these friendships, they're learning how to listen to instruction, they're learning about homework, and they get benefits from that too because we take field trips with the co-op and they get a yearbook. Like they have a lot of the good benefits of a public school environment and they get that in that small co-op setting. So it's up to you. You know, you don't have to do a co-op. There's plenty of other things you can do. You don't ever have to do a co-op and you will be fine. But I think it's a good option for your kids. It's a good break for you. And I think overall it's a good experience to at least try it and give it a shot and see if it works for you. So that's an option for you. Also, lessons. It is really nice to be able to sign your kids up for lessons that they are interested in that may or may not count for school, but for the most part they will. Especially like music lessons, dance lessons, any of those arts and humanities classes that would count for school, that your child can go to, and you get a little bit of a break where you're not teaching, but they are still learning, and you have a little bit of time, you know, just to sit there and do nothing, or play on your phone, or plan lessons, or whatever it is you want to do while they are learning from someone else. So that really does help to kind of break up your day when you have that lesson. You get a little bit of a break. Also, if you feel like you just want to pull your hair out because you are not enjoying a curriculum that you're using, or your child is really struggling with a curriculum that you're using, don't be afraid to switch curriculum. I have talked to you guys about this so many times, you're probably sick of me saying it, but I am a big advocate of changing curriculum if it is not working. Even if there's nothing wrong with the curriculum per se, or even if it used to work for you, but now all of a sudden it doesn't work for you. It's okay to change it. You don't have to keep beating your head against a brick wall because you bought this curriculum. So I've got to use it, and it used to work, so it's probably still going to work. There must be something wrong with me. I'm just going to keep forcing me and my kids to do this curriculum, even though nobody likes it, nobody's learning, and everyone's frustrated. That is not beneficial to you. It is not worth that just for the sake of not missing out on a little bit of money. Sell it on eBay, sell it on Craigslist, sell it on Facebook Marketplace, get a little bit of your money back, and then move on to something else. It is okay. So I will say, you know, give a curriculum a good fair shot, but then if it's not working, get rid of it. And kind of along the lines of what I said about lessons and co-ops, when you really feel frustrated and you really feel like you're overwhelmed and you're struggling with homeschool burnout, let somebody else teach your kids for a day or two, or once a week, or once a month. You know, have their grandparents come over and do science and math. Have your husband take over one day and do everything. You know, that's what we do now. When we first started homeschooling, I did it every single day. And I could still do it every single day if I needed to. But last year, you know, as my YouTube channel has grown, and as I have a high schooler now, there's a lot more involved in homeschooling than there used to be. Like, as our lives have changed and as my busyness has changed, I really would benefit from more help. So last year, we actually started where my husband does school with the girls one day a week. He gets one day off during the week. And so that day he does school with them. And so I have that entire morning and early afternoon to clean, to make YouTube videos, to, you know, do emails, to make phone calls, to run errands, to do whatever it is I need to do that I wouldn't normally get done maybe during the week or during the day. I can get done while he's doing school. So the night before, I sit down, I plan out what I want him to do with the girls, I type it all out, I print it off, and I leave that for him for the next day. And so he gets up in the morning, I get up in the morning, and then he heads off to do school. and I go do whatever it is I need to do. And that is so helpful for me. And I think it's nice that the girls have another voice to listen to besides me. Being their mom, and that I was a stay-at-home mom before we went to homeschool, and then now homeschooling too, I think they just honestly tune you out 90% of the time. They've heard your voice all day long, and when you're telling them things for school, sometimes it's just kind of like, mom's talking again. So I think it's really nice to have somebody else teach them at least once a week or a couple times a month. It's a fresh voice, it's a fresh perspective, it's someone for them to listen to besides you, and it gives you that necessary break. So start thinking about asking grandparents, or if you have a neighbor that you're friends with, or if you have other homeschoolers in your neighborhood or nearby, take a day during the week where you take the other person's kids and you do a lesson for everybody, and vice versa. Think about some options and some ways you can get creative to have somebody else do school with your kids one day at least, or a couple hours during the week or something like that, to really give you that break and keep you from getting homeschool burnout. So those are some tips that I have for just in general homeschool burnout. Just like you feel like you want to quit, but not like forever. You don't want to just throw in the towel completely. But there may be a time that you get to where you feel like, I can't do this. I do not want to do this every day. I'm frustrated. I'm overworked. I'm overwhelmed, and you may just start to wonder, why am I homeschooling anyway? Do I want to homeschool? Is this the right decision? Have I made a mistake? So I think if that ever happens to you, I think it's really, really important, as soon as you can, if you haven't already done it, make a list of why you homeschooled in the first place. You had to have some reason of why you started homeschooling. Nobody's up and says one day, I'm going to homeschool because it's easier. They definitely don't think that way. It is much easier to send your kids to school 6 hours a day for 5 days a week and say, here, public school system, you teach them. I'm going to go get a job, or I'm going to stay home and clean, or I'm going to go to the gym, or whatever it is that you might do if your kids were out of the house. Nobody ever says, I'm going to keep my kids home and homeschool them because it's easier. It is way, way harder. There is so much time involved, not just teaching your kids, but all the prep work and the planning and the grading that goes on after the school day is technically over, that you are still doing because you've got another day coming up, and you've got to keep records, and you've got to research this new curriculum, and you've got to do all this stuff. Like, it's a never-ending 24/7 kind of thing. And so I definitely think there's got to be some reason why you started homeschooling. Maybe it was because you're worried about the safety of schools. Maybe it's because you don't like what they're teaching in the curriculum. Maybe it's because your school system is failing kids academically and there's too much testing or too little testing. I mean, there's all different reasons why people homeschool, and sometimes it's a combination of several things. I know for us it is a combination of several things, but make a list why you homeschool. Why is it important to you? And keep that list somewhere where you can see it. Whenever you feel like quitting and just putting your kids back in public school, before you do that, read over that list and see if those reasons are still true. If those are still reasons why that you believe in and that you have agreed with. If those reasons are still valid and nothing has changed, then you're probably just burned out and you're probably just overwhelmed, and that's kind of leads back to those other tips that I had. Everybody gets to that point when they think, can I do this? Can I do it for the long haul? Am I smart enough? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? And why am I spending all this time doing this when I know that my kids could go to public school and get a decent or a good education and be fine? Why am I here? Why are we doing this? Look at that list. Make that list and keep it and look at it as often as you need before you decide that you're just going to give up and send your kids back to public school. Because I have a feeling if you are feeling that way, but you look at that list and you stop and think about that first, that you may find that you're just overwhelmed and you just maybe are in homeschool burnout mode, and that is really what's causing the issue, not so much that you just want to give up forever. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it, my suggestions for it. Hopefully all of these tips and suggestions and this little pep talk was helpful, because I know it's hard. I know it can be frustrating. I know sometimes you feel like I'm doing everything wrong. I'm not smart enough to be doing this. Why am I doing this? But I really, at the end of the day, the reasons that we decided to homeschool in the beginning are still the reasons why we keep doing it. It's still what gets me up every morning. It's what gets me through school every day. It's what makes me be able to go and spend the night grading papers and planning for the next day and researching curriculum and all this stuff. those reasons are the reason why I'm able to carry on. I think it's a lot of times just the burnout that makes me feel frustrated and overwhelmed. And that kind of goes back to, like I said, taking those breaks, having someone else help me if possible, scheduling field trips and fun things to get out of the house and do something fun. All of those things really, really help. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. If it was, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and hit that little bell next to it so you'll be notified every single time I make a video. And I have linked my homeschooling playlist for you guys in the description box. Every homeschool video I've ever made is in that playlist. So curriculum reviews, what we're using for curriculum, homeschool organization, every homeschooling video you can imagine is in that playlist. So definitely it's a good place to go for more information. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. If you want to see 2 of my older videos, you can click the links right here. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, if you haven't already, and you definitely should, you can click right here. I upload every single week. I have some links in the description box for some of my favorite stores and products, as well as my P.O. Box address. Check out those links if you're interested in those, and I will see you guys in the next video.